Let's do this. You can ask the first 5 questions.
Okay.
I don't like these cords at my feet.
So how?
Huh?
So how are you today?
I'm good, John.
I'm good. I had a big weekend.
On a bit of a high, Sam?
Nope. I'm on a crashed out low with a headache. Nah, I'm not on a high.
Okay. So this morning's one of two things for me. It's, yes, I've made it. Or you guys are scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Oh.
So which one is it?
I was like, where are you going
My
with this?
question is, which one is it?
Yes, I've made it.
Right answer. He's going to say we're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, hide the shovel.
Nah,
To be honest, with podcast, I wouldn't say it's always scraping the bottom of the barrel. It's people don't love coming on. I can understand people are nervous and we get a lot of no's, but we've had nearly 100 yeses.
That's good, hey?
So
yeah,
far.
it's good for me. It's a privilege. I mean, I've been here.
Yeah,
Bit of a epic fail, but that's another story.
that's all right.
Yeah.
We don't
There
mind
you
failure.
go.
Sorry?
We don't mind failure.
No.
I don't think it was a failure.
No, but even if it's a fail, it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's only a failure if you don't get back up.
Oh,
That's going to be in my book later on this year that I'm writing.
wow.
A 1-page book. Anyway, so actually you got 3 more questions left. 2 more.
Have I?
Well, now you've got 1.
That's what I was hoping for. I've run out of questions.
Johnny Buckley, born Gold Coast,
No.
born
In
Yes.
Wellington.
New South Wales. Well, actually in the Dubbo Hospital, but officially it was Wellington on my birth certificate, I think.
Wellington.
Didn't know that, did you?
I've heard of Wellington here, but I'd have no reference for it. Where?
They're west of Sydney, 6 hours roughly.
From Sydney.
Yeah, west. Pretty wild guess, like distance-wise. But
So you go way past Orange, past Bathurst.
no, not far. Yeah, around the same vicinity. I'd have to look at a map, but yeah.
Okay. So you obviously weren't there long.
I think 6, around 5 or 6, beginning of school, I came to the Goldie.
Wow. And what brought you to the Goldie?
My grandmother had a motel in Cavill Avenue. If you're familiar with Melba's, I don't know, is it even still there? Melba's?
Yeah, Melba's is still there.
That was where I moved from the country to 50 Cavill Avenue.
Our family owned that block of land.
So it's called the New
Melba's. I've never darkened the door. So
Yeah, it's a nightclub.
That's a cool saying. It's a nightclub, but it's like that block of land there
right.
is worth billions.
Is that near the bus station thing that used
Yes.
to
Bus
be
station's
Yes.
in Beach Road.
Yeah.
Cavill Avenue is the main one that goes up to the
okay.
mall.
Yeah.
But the bus station's here and there's a road there.
Yeah.
Melba's is on the other side.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
right there.
So
Maybe you have darkened the door, hey?
no,
Hey,
never, never. So so they came to buy that? Did
No,
you say?
my
grandmother owned it.
grandmother owned it. She had her husband. I believe they were still married. Don't know whether they ever got divorced. She was a city girl. He was a country boy. So it was destined to really not work. So he went back to the bush.
Wow.
And she stayed doing what she knew, which was running pubs and motels and hotels. And so she came up here. She had a partner. He got very sick, so she struggled to run the business on her own. So her only son, which was my dad, brought his family up, us.
Wow.
And we lived there for, I don't know, a few years.
Lived at the hotel.
In the motel. It was a motel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, old school motel, where you cook breakfast and stuff like that for the guests.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So they weren't okay, so just the God reference. Was there any God in your life growing up?
No,
Okay.
not at that stage.
Interesting. So not at school, no religious instruction back then.
Catholic school, like Aquinas College, you would be familiar with that.
Okay.
That was an all-boys school. That's where I went.
Okay.
So Christian brothers. So we learnt, we had a chapel there. We had to go there, I think, once a week.
Right.
So
it impact you in any way, or just sort of like had to endure it?
Endure it probably wasn't the right.
Okay.
I didn't think it wasn't a stressful thing.
Okay.
I remember some cool people back then. There was a brother that was a bikie. I don't know why I thought of that. Kev made me think of that the other day, but he was a really cool guy and rode a motorbike. And back in the day, that was like unheard of.
Wow.
He was a Christian brother. Yeah.
Okay. So sort of God's, you're just hearing about
Yeah.
God, but and not in the family much brought up in that. No church. You go to church for a wedding or a funeral or type
No,
thing?
we used to go to church when we first came up onto the Goldie. It was every Sunday.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Classic.
No, it was a Catholic church, so
Not Santa Maria's and
No, it's where the Watermark Hotel is now. It used to be
across the road from that.
It used to be called
yes.
St. Vincent's, which is on the Old Capri now.
Oh yes.
But back then it was right in the middle of the surface, so there was a church and a school there as well. So that was the first school that I went to on the Gold Coast.
Oh, okay.
It was called St. Vincent's School.
So growing up in the Goldie, good times?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lay of the land was heaps different, eh? So like Chevron Island stuff were like sand dunes and
Hey?
yeah, man. So there was sand dunes like these guys used to catch a tinny. Do you tell the story?
Catch a tinny. Well, I'm on a site that on Facebook it's called I Grew Up on the Gold Coast in the 70s. So there's always these old pictures. I just looked at one this morning.
Oh, cool.
Of the main Esplanade surface, and it was like like you say, like a sand track. It was in 65. That was so. That was I would have only been 6.
Let's paint a picture. The Art Centre, home of the arts.
Mm-hmm.
Sand dunes, right?
Yeah.
Full sand dunes.
Yep.
Hotter.
Yes.
Yep.
Council building.
Yes.
Yep. Everything west of there was like a sandy, swampy area, like Sorrento, Benoa, all those areas. Because one of the first jobs I had on the Gold Coast, or first full-time jobs, was surveying. Wow. So we surveyed all that area, even the older Capri, but that was sort of developed to pretty much. That's where we ended up living. But west of Bundle Road, which becomes Bermuda Street, was all just sand flats and marshes. So they pumped canals out and developed all the land.
Pretty crazy to think,
That's
hey.
amazing.
So it's like when you drive past Carrara Markets heading out to the highway, you get to Merrimack and you look out to the right there and it's just all, it's more bushland. It's kind of bushland. I picture that, but with sand dunes to it.
Yeah, probably sand. It was sandy. It was more marshy. Marshy. No pun intended.
You've been called that before? What?
Marshy.
But it wasn't different from where you are now, because in my surveying career we developed, and Dan was part of this too.
So was I.
Yeah, all of Robina was very similar.
Wow.
So the guy that Robin Lowe, who developed all of Robina, that was huge.
You've actually been a part of like quite a lot of development on the coast, because even Pimpama, Jacob's Well, remember?
Yeah, I was talking to Jared McKay on the weekend, Friday night, about that, because I had my 21st at Pimpama in Hotham Creek Road, a place called, it was a good mate of mine's grandparents had a farm there. So I've got a soft spot for Pimpama. So
I've heard that Hotham Creek Road story.
Have you?
A couple of yard glasses out that one.
It was more than a couple of yard glasses.
Do you know what
Couldn't
they
find
used
your keys, could you? Quite thankful for that one, I think. You were.
Gee, I don't know. What story have I
I haven't
told
even
you?
heard this one.
Oh, that's all right. Praise the Lord.
My 21st was a hungy. This was interesting. It was.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And Jared looked at the same way at me. He went, what? And I actually did it for a living in Townsville for a while, years later. Yeah.
Selling plants and doing hungies. When you said before,
Digging pits, lighting fires, cooking food.
when
Well,
you
it
said
was
you're
a-
from Wellington, I was going to say, I'm going to say that from now on. Because people are always like, "Oh, are you from New Zealand?" I'm going to now say, "No, well, I'm not." But my dad was born in Wellington.
There you go. And he did hungies for a living.
I had a driver's license that actually had Wellington, New Zealand on it, NZ, at one stage in my life. I can't remember.
What?
And they made him mix up.
Yeah. But hungies were ideal. Like you say, you start the fire in the morning for my lifestyle at the time. So, you crack the first one when you start the first fire. And it takes you, 6 hours to
Just
get...
for the audience, what does crack the first one mean? Like
a can of mineral water.
mineral water.
Yeah.
Oh, they didn't have cans of mineral water back then, bro.
Mineral
They
water.
didn't have mineral water.
So like,
Hadn't been discovered.
so like moonshine type.
Yeah, good.
So it made for a good long day of festivities.
Yeah, is that a Monday or a Tuesday?
Wow. Okay, so you're a hungy pit guy and
That's so crazy.
cooking up for some locals.
Well,
Did people just hire you to do hungies?
how it came about, I did...
It looks mouldy.
What's up, mouldy fella? Kia ora, bay.
How it came about was I was in Townsville, and I was in and out of work. I did a bit of surveying, and I think there was a guy that lived in the units that worked at a meatworks, lived in a unit above me right in town, and somehow or other it came up they wanted to do some functions and he could supply the meat. And I said, well, I know how to do a hungy. And then people paid me.
When you said I know how to do a hungy, was that like I was cracking a couple one day watching this guy do it? And
Well, I actually did it with the help of a few people.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Could you do
You
one?
just
Uncle?
watch YouTube?
Yeah, that's
How to
He
do
went
it.
to
was
the
no
what's
YouTube.
it called?
But I'm
The
sort of
encyclopedia? He's like, hang on, I think it's on page 785 under Kiwi culture.
Kiwi culture.
Kiwi culture.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. Could you do one today?
Right now.
Yeah, let's stop this
bit
thing.
late.
That's the butcher's
Should've
open.
No
started-
cracking,
No,
cracking anything open though, right? So,
Oh, well, we have cans of mineral water these days.
Yeah,
so
we do.
could crack.
okay, man, we got there pretty quick.
Making hungy
Townsville.
surfing.
How long did you stay in Townsville for?
No, I think it was a year or a bit over a year.
Okay.
Did a bit of surveying up there as well.
Were you selling fabric and clothing?
That's how I got there. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you
Jeez.
even know that?
So you're driving up in the old V-dub
Yep.
and hooking off some merch on the side.
That was my job. Just to clarify that. Yeah, I was wholesaling Indian clothes, Chinese T-shirts.
Plants.
We had a wholesale run all the way up to Cairns, and I used to do the markets in Cairns. There was one at Kuranda in a local market, and the reason I stayed there because the combi blew up.
Right.
And
so you ended up there for a year.
pretty much, yeah.
Zombies aren't easy to fix.
Yeah. Well, it blew up in, I think it was Rocky.
Far out.
So I had to leave it there with all the merch in it and trained it up to Townsville because that's where I knew people. And then I left it at a BW Wreckers, and it took him probably 6 months to fix it.
Oh, wow.
In the meantime, I came back and got all the merch and put it on a train and took it up and sold it at the markets and whatnot to recoup a bit of money.
Wow. So you were into apparel
Yes.
as well as so you were doing surveying as well?
Not then I wasn't.
Oh,
no.
okay. That was pre-surveying.
Post.
Oh, post-surveying. Oh, okay.
But he came.
No, sorry, pre-surveying. Yes, you're right.
pre-surveying.
I was going to say he must have come back to surveying after.
And God's sort of still not major in your life, or
No, not then. No.
Bit of a background memory at that point.
I never didn't. I mean, I listen to these podcasts all the time, and people say the same thing, and I've got to say the same thing. I never didn't believe in God.
Right.
I always knew that there was, I never doubted that. I don't know why.
Well,
I do now.
Even like Catholic school, it would have always, the God factor would have always been around, right?
Yeah. And my mum was pretty, from memory, was pretty godly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So you sort of up and down the East Coast Australia,
Yep.
or Queensland.
Mostly Queensland. Yeah.
And not of God, not living in the fear of the Lord.
Not at all.
Okay.
Did you ever bump into any Bible bashers or like evangelists or anything that had an impact on you?
No, not that I can remember.
Oh.
Bumped into a lot of people, but
Yeah.
no. Don't remember any of them.
Wow.
Bump into some hippies, hung out with them for a little bit when you.
In the combi with the
Yep.
flower power signs on the sign and all
No
that stuff.
flower power signs.
You weren't quite that hippie style?
No.
Because selling Indian sort of apparel,
Oh yeah, it was very much
that's
That-
the niche.
that theme. Sure.
What sort of apparel are we talking about?
There was a lot of Chinese cotton T-shirts, so we used to import them. The guy that I work for, colour them and print them. So you'd land them in the country, just white. We'd dye them all and we'd get them printed locally.
So, like, what would they look like? What are we talking about? We got a reference that you can?
Like AS Colour shirts, similar, but
Oh, just plain shirts.
Yeah.
So we're not talking like tie dye, full on hippie.
we had the odd tie-dye, but that was sort of more the 60s, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure. That's what I'm
dunno.
asking.
Someone?
Yeah. Someone will
Yeah, it
clarify
was
that.
more the 60s, I think.
Okay. So just clothing, just quality
Yeah,
clothing.
a lot of females' clothing, a lot of like mesh back Indian. The guy that sold it to us or that wholesaled it to us was an Indian guy, so he imported it. We imported some of our own. So
Have you got any photos of this?
oh,
I think it'd be pretty cool to see.
I have
photos.
an actual photo of, not on me, but of it set up, of one of my stalls set up at Coranda Markets up outside of Cairns.
We'll put that up for people to see.
Sure.
That'd be
be
cool.
cool.
Be really cool. I don't even think I've seen that.
Yeah, it's a pretty good photo. And I remember the day, I can actually remember the money I took that day.
What the heck?
We're talking, oh, jeepers.
$12.50 enough to buy a house.
That was after tax.
Tax?
No.
In the paid tax mix.
But seriously, it was like a 6-hour market, and I had a girlfriend with me at the time, a Dutch girl called Annette. But we took probably, I think it was like around $600 or $700. And this is over 40 years ago.
Wow.
So we came away from there going, we are cashed up.
What?
And that wasn't all mine, obviously,
Sure.
because the guy that owned the business paid for all the stuff, but I got it at wholesale price and was selling it at markets for retail or just below retail.
That would be the equivalent of like 10 grand today.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't know. That's amazing.
That's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, it was good money in the day. Yeah.
So you're into apparel. You're getting into surveying later on. Is that
Oh,
later
that's
on?
down the track a little
okay.
bit. Yeah.
Didn't you get into physiotherapy or massage therapy or something?
That's further down the
That's
track.
down the track as well.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Better speed it up. You'll never get there.
Okay.
Okay.
So what happened? How long are you doing this for?
Came probably a couple of years. Came back, worked in sunglasses, sold sunglasses.
That's right.
Yeah. So the first pair of bollets that ever came to the
Wow.
country, we sold them.
Wow.
And he still loves sunglasses today.
I do.
Yeah.
I have a fetish for sunglasses. You know that.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. I've still got that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Good.
been 3 months. So.
Yeah, that's a good haul for you.
Wow. So
Sunglasses next. What's next?
I don't know. Where did I go to? Maybe surveying in there. Yeah.
when did Anita come on the
That's
scene?
what I'm sure. That'll probably give me
Yeah. Okay.
good-
That's when life really started.
good context. Yeah, started to go up.
Started to get hard. Sorry, Mum.
Wow. It's all right, Anita. I got you.
Anita came along when I was in the apparel. Yes.
Okay.
So I went into sunglasses and back into apparel, and I met her. There's a bit of controversy over this because we did see one another prior to this, probably a week or two, but the first time I met her, she was modelling lingerie.
Okay.
All right. We're going to end the podcast there. I need to go home. It's just too much for me.
Okay.
Yep.
And you happened to be there while she was modelling.
Well, she was standing at the top of an escalator, so I couldn't not see her.
Oh, okay.
Can't not see.
So you're coming up the escalator going, hello.
Yep.
He wasn't going up the escalator, but then he decided he needed to go to the shops that were up above the escalator.
And this was in the surface?
In the Paradise Centre, yeah.
It's still there today.
The Paradise Centre is. I don't know whether the actual. I don't think the shop is.
Right.
No.
So you said hello?
I did, yes.
And it sort of went from there?
We ended up, because we worked in there was a marketplace upstairs in the Paradise Centre then.
Oh, so you were in the apparel.
Correct. And she worked for 2 shops there. One was lingerie and one was a left-handed shop. So it sold everything left-handed.
My mum would like that
Keep
shop.
a straight face and say
My mum would love that shop.
Yeah.
My mum's a left.
And they
It
went out
actually
of
did-
business, did they? What a surprise.
they ran out of left-handed people. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So you were up there selling your apparel, and
Yeah,
that's how
and we
you
all,
sort of-
as in a marketplace, you
Say hello
talk
to-
more than normal.
Yeah.
So we got to know one another and went to different functions. Actually, that was pretty fast forwarded.
Okay.
We got together very quickly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Daniel was conceived very quickly.
Wow.
Yeah.
As a surprise.
Yes.
Okay.
But none of our kids were planned.
Wow.
Excuse me?
Yeah, none.
So you're
Now,
okay.
let me just reiterate that Sam actually was,
Right.
because
Say it again.
but that was because Anita had lost a baby too. She had
Right.
2 or 3 miscarriages, I think. I'm not, it's a bit blurry, that one.
So you're okay, having a good time with Anita, getting to know her and stuff, and then
Love how you put that.
hello Daniel.
Yep.
Wow.
Young Daniel.
We split up before he was born.
Hey.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Yeah, we went. I was pretty loose still.
Wow.
So she went and cared for a guy down at Currumbin for, again, these timelines might be a little bit out, maybe 3 or 4 months, and then, I pulled my head out of where it shouldn't have been and got my act together, and
Said I'm keen.
we got back together, yeah.
So she was pregnant.
Yeah, heavily pregnant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Far out.
Yep.
Just in time?
No, it was a few months beforehand. She was probably away for 3 months.
Right.
Again, I'm not sure of those timelines.
Yeah, wow.
But it was a few months. When
So
she-
life was taking a different turn than you thought?
at that stage,
Yeah.
yes.
And you, did you meet her family and stuff at that point?
Oh dear. Maybe their parents won't watch this. I don't know, but that's okay. When I went to her parents' house in Brisbane when they were overseas on a missions trip, and we spent the night there, and it was quite weird because I wasn't fully aware of who they were. I just knew, Dad was a pastor. Oh yeah, whatever.
What do pastors do?
Yeah. And then in the morning, she said, "Yeah, they're on a missions trip. They're coming home today." And I went, "What?
Wow.
Let's get out of here. I don't want to meet them."
And
Far out.
Not like that, anyway.
Yeah.
and that was the next 20 years.
Okay.
They are the most
cool.
amazing people, and
They
they've
are.
been a massive influence on all our lives.
Oh. Do you remember meeting? Papa for the first-
What was the first meeting like?
Did you
You
get
can
out of there or you stayed there?
No, we got out. I got out. It's a 2-lane highway, or 1 lane each way to Brisbane in those days.
Oh, wow.
So, I was on that road pretty quick. I don't remember the very first meeting. I remember one meeting. You remember Richard Dwyer, the tall. You may
Dick.
not. Dickie, yeah. So we lived at Main Beach. Daniel was a baby, and I remember this, and I'll never forget it because John had no judgment, and still doesn't. He's an amazing man. He's he's in his 80s and still,
Wow.
going 100 miles an hour. But he walked into that house, and we'd been surfing. We had a lot of mates around and doing what we do. And we came out of the surf, and the kitchen was full of smoke for whatever reason. Things that we shouldn't have been doing, and Daniel wasn't in the room, thankfully. But John just walked in the house, and you couldn't see for smoke, and he just rocked in, and I went, "Oh, it's my father-in-law. Hey, John, how are you?" He's acted as nothing had happened, and just came over and shook our hand and coughed a bit.
Good, Johnny.
I will never forget that.
Wow.
He never said anything about it. He just,
Said hello.
yeah,
Wow. Come to see his grandson.
yeah.
his daughter.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So when did you and Anita get married then? So after Dan was born?
Yeah, it was during an argument.
That you proposed.
Yeah. Good. To get myself out of trouble, pretty much.
Not the first person to do that.
Wow.
Yeah. Things I'm not overly proud of.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was a good call. I lost my job a couple of weeks after proposing to her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez. Tani wasn't born, or Tani was born?
No, Tony wasn't born.
Wow.
Tony was born down at Mermaid.
So you're you're getting married now. So
Yep.
you
Haven't got a job, getting married.
Wow.
How
sort
old?
of-
28?
Yep, about there.
Wow. So big decisions. Sort of unprepared for it? Or just sort of taking day at a time like, this will
Pretty
do?
much. Oh, I lived a day at a time back then for some time.
Surfing,
Yeah.
life-saving.
No life-saving then.
Really?
Didn't get into life-saving until I was in my early 30s.
Oh, wow.
When I was a baby.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you get married?
Yep.
What was the wedding like?
It was okay. We just had close family. I had a bucks party, which was a bit of a disaster.
Right.
Don't really want to go there.
Yeah.
Hang on. The wedding photo.
The original wedding photo.
Yeah, or maybe that's Nikki's wedding where Dan and Tan are there. I can see a photo.
Yeah, it wouldn't have.
So the original
Tan wasn't.
Tan wasn't there.
Daniel was only a baby. He was only maybe just over 12 months.
Okay.
Yeah. He was up at Tambourine at a place called Eagle's Nest.
Eagle's Nest is still there, isn't it? Yeah, wow.
And we only had close family. And it'll be pivotal in my life because I stood up to give a speech and choked. Couldn't say a word.
Really?
No
Yep.
way.
Could not say a word.
What happened?
So you actually didn't?
Oh, I went.
Wow.
What did Mum do?
I think
Grabbed the mic and made a speech.
no. I think Uncle Pete or Uncle Phil might have got up and filled in.
Oh,
So you have how many brothers?
Had two. One lost one to cancer.
Oh wow.
My oldest brother. Yeah.
Yeah. And Pete's still
Yeah.
missed a phone call from Pete this morning.
Wow.
So you getting married? It was that obviously was after the wedding. It's the reception. You sort of got up to get a speech and choked.
Yep.
Oh wow.
So okay, you believe God's real, always have. The wedding, surely you're giving vows before God. Who officiates the wedding?
I'm just trying to work that one out.
Oh, okay.
I think it might have been Uncle Pete. Might have been Pete. It only would have been one of
Your
two.
brother?
Yeah.
So was he full on for the Lord?
Yeah, he'd been a pastor since his story is different too. He was engaged to be married. I was 16. Was Mum alive? No, I don't think she was. So I was probably just over 16. And he called the wedding off because he met a girl who was working out in Bow Desert who was a Christian and fell madly in love with her, and then ended up getting saved. And so, yeah, he was full on for the Lord.
So you've seen him full on, and you're just like, oh, that's his walk. Go for it, mate.
Yeah.
But as for me, I'm just,
That's for me in my house.
I'm running a day at a time, just getting through.
Yep.
And then he marries a pastor's daughter.
Johnny,
Should have seen the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
Hey, really?
He was coming.
wow. Okay, so then you're married,
Michael.
and married, living on the Goldie.
Yep.
Sort of not much stability in your life. You just sort of trying to live
day
not
at a
really.
day at
Yeah.
a time, just getting through.
Yeah, my dad, I suppose it got a little bit more stable when Tani was born.
Right.
We had we lost a baby very late. That was very traumatic for Anita.
Before Tani,
Yeah.
did you say?
Well, Joel was still born, eh?
No, after Tani. So that was Anita needed to fall again
Yeah.
to have Sam
Oh, okay.
because it left that It was hectic. That was probably a real hectic time.
Yeah. Sorry, because I was going to say Tani was born. Joel must have been conceived. It was Joel, eh? Is it Joel? The baby's name?
No. Joel's my oldest son from way back, remember?
We missed that.
Yeah, we can go back there. But I can't think, Sam.
I can't remember
Wow.
either. I thought it was Joel. Well, anyway, that was really...
Corey. Yeah, Corey was the one that was the stillborn.
And it would have been really quickly after Tani, like a year, just over a year.
Probably not even that, Sam.
Yeah, because Tani and I are only 3 years apart and he was a stillborn.
Yeah.
So that would have been...
That was the way that was explained to me by a doctor just before it happened. I don't know whether they'd even do that these days, but he said to me, he looked at me and he said, if we don't do this, your wife has a very high chance of dying. He said, because the baby's not living anymore, we need to pull the baby out to a certain point, and leave the baby there so that she doesn't bleed where the placenta's pulled away. And how we're going to do that is to have the legs coming out of your wife and have a gauze around the legs hanging over the end of the bed with a weight on it, holding him there for a period of time until the blood congeals. He's drawing this on a whiteboard.
What the heck?
And this day and age, I'd probably break down and start crying, but back then I was in shock. I just went, is this guy for real? And that's what he did.
Wow.
And Mum knew this is what was happening.
Yeah. But women are, women are tough.
Yeah. So and you've got sort of no anchor, no pillar.
No.
So
No.
you're just going to and fro.
Yeah. It probably messed up me a bit. I know it I remember my dad, I've never seen him cry.
Wow.
And he cried. He was, obviously a grown man.
Yeah.
But he had lost his wife at that stage, my mum. So he was on his own journey. But I remember that really rocking his boat. So,
where was the pivotal time where you cried out to the Lord, John? Like your life doesn't sound like it's real stable.
Mm-hmm.
You're just sort of flying by the seat of your pants.
Yeah, good analogy, and true. Probably when Anita and I broke up, Anita had tried to get us to church, a lot through the journey of raising kids. And it wasn't a rejection as such, but you just found other things. It's a weekend, come on. Involved with a surf club. You always found other things. So it wasn't like, no, I don't want to do that because it doesn't interest me. It was just excuse me, distraction. But so when we broke up, Peter, was Phil alive then? Yeah, he was. Pete came up, sat down with the three kids and I.
Where was he staying?
He was living in Melbourne. He had most of his ministry in Melbourne. He had a church down there. So he was there for probably 25 years.
Okay.
So he came up and sat down. I don't know whether you remember
When Anita
this.
moved out, he came to you and said,
yeah,
okay.
We were in the family home. She was renting a home about, 500 metres around the corner. Hey,
Right.
Sammy?
Yeah.
And he sat all of us down on the floor and led us to the Lord. And
Felt that.
Yeah.
And this was after some trauma for all of us because Mum just left, which it's actually really interesting because what you just said, I've never heard that and it makes sense. Mum's raised at a young age as a Christian. So, I can see Mum trying to get our family to church. Not that I can physically see it, but Mum would have tried to get you to church and I can see.
Yeah.
You just
She was
being
brought
like,
up, she knew.
It's probably a bit of desperation there for her, maybe, knowing where it's all.
Well, she'd walked away from God, but it was still it's still grained in there, man.
Yeah, it's hard. Eh?
Oh, wow.
Can you walk away from God?
Yeah.
Can you deny God? Wow.
And that to me, that time when Pete did that, for me, it was like, oh, this is sweet because I dearly wanted her back. I mean, you guys remember how crazy I was for that couple of days trying to find her before she moved to Sydney. But so that was like, okay, I've done it now.
It's all going to fall into place.
And I did. I rang her up saying, Pete led me to the Lord. Come on home.
Wow.
But I've probably got the longest salvation in the history of mankind. It took 4 years, like nearly 4 years, for me to actually get across that line and be serious with God.
Wow.
Was Pete following you up?
Not so much. Like the first time I've ever didn't see him cry, but know that he did cry because Angie told me when I rang him and told him that Anita and I were getting back together. And she told me later on that he teared up over it because he'd been praying. Yeah. There's no doubt he'd been praying. Anita's parents had been praying.
Do you say you've never seen him cry?
No.
Pete?
Never? No. I don't think I've ever seen him cry.
And we lost our mum. We lost our brother.
That's what an awesome brother.
Oh, my older brother was alive.
Oh, not because he wasn't crying.
No.
What an awesome brother to not cry.
No, I got what you meant. I'm like, he is.
Wow.
He's such a faithful.
Yeah, Phil
man.
walked through that separation with me. He worked for the Catholic Education Department. He was a teacher, but he worked as a counsellor too. And when Anita and I broke up, he rang me every night and to see how I was. And I'd go, I'd be crying in the sink, and I was a mess for those first couple of weeks. Eh?
Yeah.
And he'd say, it's one day at a time, one day at a time.
You said something interesting. Oh, I hope I don't get emotional. At Father's Day. Mother's Day. You lost your wife once. Something. And you're not going to do it again.
No,
something like that.
I've got both my wives here, my first and second.
Yeah.
It's the same one.
Yeah, it's the same one, but you said something that was just really quite powerful.
I've said
you lost your first wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. You did say that. You said that
you lost your first wife.
I think you did say I lost my life once.
Yeah.
And you deserved it, sort of.
Yeah. But I do use that reference with the marriage stuff that we do, and I do say to people, there's not an option for me now. There's no what if or if things go bad or whatever. I would never, ever put myself in that position again and walk away from that ever. There's no choice for me. It's a done deal. We're married forever.
Yeah.
Or as we heard on Friday, till death do us part. Yeah.
So what happened, right? Because you said it was the longest salvation in history, which it wasn't. You know, there's some people
probably
take longer.
Ones, yeah.
There is longer, but it was a long time. You ended up getting saved. Mum didn't come back.
No.
You got girlfriends.
Yep.
You and Mum had separate lives for like 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
But then one day in church.
Oh, yeah.
You went to church.
Yep.
And you were there, but you were there with a girlfriend.
Yep.
And something happened.
Okay, I had a girlfriend named Tanya who at that stage was in Ballina, and she wanted to go to a church down there, a Christian church, and I said, yeah, whatever. We went there once or twice. She moved back to the Gold Coast, and that was when you had that connection with Bretto and the boys.
Yeah.
And we went to that church. I took her there once, and I sat behind Dennis and Bobby Begnell.
At that church? These guys were going? Once you went there?
Once.
Yeah.
Well, I knew the crew there because Sam was involved, but I only took her once.
Yeah.
Never again. That relationship ended after that. But there was a lady with them who introduced me to them who at that time, that was when I first started counselling, my counselling diploma, and she was my prac lady. She had a business in Southport, and she was the one that originally told me. Sam actually got anger management counselling at 14 from but it's pretty funny. So she was sitting in front of me and she introduced me to Dennis and Bobby. But what you're alluding to, I think, Sam, is that was where God nailed me pretty much to the wall.
Wow.
And said, you're in the right place, bro, but you're with the wrong person. So we broke up within 24 hours.
What?
I contacted Anita, lots of tears and emotion, and yeah, here we are.
So you led to the Lord on the floor in your house by your brother.
Yep.
With your kids.
With your kids. So there's a transaction that takes place. You're like, okay, God, I believe. I surrender my life to Jesus.
I said that.
You said that.
Yep.
Yeah. But then
did I believe it? Did it go
Yeah, so
deep?
nothing sort of changed
No.
until that moment when you're sitting behind Bobby and Dennis.
Correct.
Dennis and Bobby.
Yeah, because I was still doing everything.
Wow.
Which is why part of the big reason why Mum took off, right?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of reasons there. There was a lot of stuff that the toast was never cooked properly either.
Oh, wow.
No. Look, and I will say this publicly too, and I have before. I wear it, the whole lot of it. And I think guys in marriages need to stand up and do that.
That's what you said. You're taking her for granted or something like that. You're taking your marriage for granted
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
And you lost her.
Yeah. Anita wasn't completely innocent in it, but that's irrelevant to me right now.
Yeah.
I did the wrong thing and I didn't man up and wear it.
Yeah.
And I'll never, ever, ever do that again.
Yeah. Wow. So 4 years. So thanks, Pete. Anita, I've accepted the Lord. It's all good now. But it took 4 years to...
Yeah, 3.5 to 4.
3.5, yeah. Wow. For it to actually materialize into some level of change, some level of, wow. That's amazing.
So what did you do? You broke up with that chick and then you called Mum and there's tears but Mum didn't just come running back, did she?
No, but not David Pawson. She was listening to a lot of David Pawson stuff, as you guys know. She's, that was ingrained in her through her dad. But God was talking to her and really, she had pretty much had a breakdown through it all because she made a call that was that was a call that I should have made. That's why I feel so responsible for it. She got out of there and left you guys, which would have been the hardest thing on the planet to do. But the reason, and I do believe this, the reason she did that was so that I wouldn't fall apart. I fell apart anyway, but fall apart and do something stupid because I had you guys with me. So she sacrificed that. Yeah, it's heavy when you get right into it.
Yeah. But that's real life.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
It's tough.
And it's crazy, eh? It feels like it's gone into a counselling session. This is crazy to think then because, she had to wear it. She had to wear her kids.
Yep.
Putting the blame on her.
Yeah.
Far out.
So then, okay, yes, this is where you're supposed to be. This is the place you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Just with the wrong person.
Yeah.
What was the time frame from when Anita was sitting next to you?
Not very long.
Okay.
That was towards the end of the year. I can't remember what year.
Right.
But it was towards the end of the year. We sat down together, and funnily enough, that's the church at Craig and Cariana.
Oh yeah,
we're at. So
and Liz
Howell and a few other people.
Wow.
But we planned. I think we're going into Christmas. We planned to, we talked pretty quickly about it. Like, I said, this is what I want to do, and she was keen, and we planned to sort of court for that next year and do everything properly, and then get married at the end of that next year. But because we had history, it's pretty hard to do that
for sure.
So,
and you were divorced, hey?
Yes,
you were actually
we were divorced in the first year, and we sold our house, we sold our business. Yeah, so we cut everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
But then you brought everything back.
Well, the proposal was big in a lot of ways because I never did things right.
The first time around?
Yeah, still probably now.
Still figuring it out.
But the proposal was cool because she was in Melbourne working, and I just did all this behind the scenes organising and flew down there on my own and had people set up in a park and rang her, and she was walking with a girlfriend through the park. I had like spies out watching on phones, and I could see her from probably 600 metres away and rang her, and she panicked. She thought I got cold feet and was going to bail. She said, "What's wrong? Why are you ringing me? You know where I am?" And I said, "I just want to ask you something." And I saw her stop. And she went, "Oh, yeah, I know. I'm getting like that too." And so I proposed to her, and she squealed that loud.
On the phone? You proposed on the phone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And her girlfriend, who she was walking with, knew I'd G'd her up. I didn't know her that well. It was actually the sister to a guy she used to date when we were apart, which is sort of weird. But and then she started looking around, and I sort of came out from behind a tree, and they actually started walking again, and she saw me and squealed again. And my brother Pete and his family had a little picnic set up, and it was cool. So I started on the right foot.
Man.
Yeah.
And who officiated that service?
Her dad.
Oh, that would have been powerful.
We had that on the beach down in front of where we are now.
Wow.
Church.
Yeah. And a good girlfriend of hers catered for it at Miami Surf Club. And
reception straight after.
yeah. And a big thing for us was apologising to these guys.
Wow. Did you do that at the wedding?
In front of everyone.
Oof.
That was a
Can you remember that?
Yeah, I was pretty high, but I remember. This is. I was at church at that point. Oh, was I gone again?
Oh,
I don't know. I just remember Dan had a horrible haircut, and so did I. I remember the blue.
I have
shirts.
got photos of that actually.
Yeah,
This what we're talking about right now is very real for me right now because of what's happening under my roof. And you rang me last night when I was in the middle of that because I'm seeing the effect of a breakup in my daughter's kids right now.
Yeah.
And I know what it did.
Yeah.
And it's just hard. It just rips me.
Yeah.
Some of the things that came out last night, like a little guy, he reacts the worst because he doesn't know.
Yeah.
It's
No words. Yeah.
I've sat him down and had a good chat to him and said, I know you don't understand, mate. We're here for you. But it's just taken me back. And, yeah.
man. But God fully restored our whole family.
Wow.
And he still, even today, is doing things that we didn't know needed to be restored. But
yeah.
How amazing, hey?
Oh.
And then what are you and Mum doing now? Do you know?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. It's a very hectic week for us going to Sydney to.
Oh, this week?
Yeah, we're leaving Thursday morning.
Come on.
So it's you guys and probably most of the people listening to this know what Anita's like as far as her structure.
Oh, yeah, amazing.
It's second to none. So for us to go down there with a 1 day workshop, it's not going to be a second-hand one. It's going to be done. So I'll be up for lots of hours with her going through that. We need to be on point with it.
Absolutely.
We need to bounce off one another well with it.
Yeah.
So it's taken a lot of work.
The cool thing is, though, it's years of you guys doing stuff together, and you will just bounce off each other naturally. And and Mum can get thrown into a Turkish dog fight and figure stuff out, so you'll be fine.
I've seen a Turkish dog fight, actually.
Yeah, neither have I, but it sounds rough.
She turns it into Turkish delight.
Yeah. Oh.
That's what she does well. Throw her in the middle of the biggest mess and she sorts it.
Oh, yeah. Gifted.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
How amazing, hey. This has been hectic, actually.
It's been awesome.
This morning.
Yeah. It's sort of like a little snippet, Johnny.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just really, I think what people can relate to is the time where you receive Jesus to the time where you follow him. You know, that you believe in him. Yeah, he's real. Okay. To actually outworking it, it can take, it takes time. We're still working it out, right? But there's,
even that journey, like they're all different journeys in our life, and they start at all different places, I think. I mean, even the journey with Chapel, like initially it was,
Yeah.
this is a cool place to be. It's a church. We'd only been to really one other,
Yeah.
which was great. They supported our missions work. You know, we have a heart for missions. But from there, that start, you know, where you guys were not even 6 months old to now, I'm like, what the heck?
What the heck?
You know, I'm sitting down with you guys. I'm, you know, involved with things that I never thought I would be involved with. I've got relationships with people that are
amazing people.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And I'm working alongside
Your favourite son.
My favourite son, my youngest son, which is
Your favourite youngest son.
You can say it. Dan and Tan aren't going to listen to this. Just
he listened yesterday.
who? Dan?
Yeah,
To mine?
yeah.
Well, Dan, now you know. He always knew. It's always been us, Dad.
All good, man.
Son.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Johnny.
Pleasure,
awesome,
guys.
That
Thanks
was
for having me.
powerful. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Some really significant moments there. I love, you know, the older brother. Is Pete older than you?
Yeah, they're both old. I'm the youngest.
The older brother is just quite a thing for me. I like Pete. What a legend. We should get Pete on here.
Phil, the older brother,
Let's
Phil,
do it.
just FYI, he actually, I thought about this on the weekend when Dan Pikea and I were up at my sister-in-law's. He actually got saved as well at one stage in his life. I think he drifted away. But I remember going to a meeting one night and they were all speaking in tongues and I went, what the heck is happening here with these people? Like in a building, and they were all shabba-babbaring and I just walked out thinking, oh yeah, it's my brother, I don't know. But he moved away from that, and before he passed away, Pete got to speak to him about God, even though he was sort of in induced coma, he still got a chance to talk to him, which was really cool. And Pete's done that to my dad and my older brother before they passed.
All without shedding a tear, Petey.
No, we'll get him on here.
We'll get him on.
Let me sit on it.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks, guys. Pleasure.
Awesome, mate.